Everyone who picks up a Nintendo Switch will have a joyous... Wait, that's not a word. Okay, sorry. Everyone who picks up a Nintendo Switch will have a glorious pair of Joy-Con controllers, but how many will have that Pro controller? What's going on, guys and girls? It's Zach, and I've got Gabe and Jake here, the whole Switchforce crew, to determine if the Nintendo Switch Pro controller is worth it. And keep in mind, we are three different people with three different opinions and three different ways of enjoying games. So we may feel differently about the Pro controller, but let that help inform you and who you kind of associate with and where your thoughts and eventually purchasing decisions lie, because I think it's interesting to get all of our perspectives instead of just a unified singular decision. Now, this thing comes in at $69.99. It's got beautiful translucent plastic, great form factor, gyro controls, and it boasts a 40-hour battery life on a single charge, which is pretty darn good. But is this worth the price, and do you need it for the best possible Switch experience? Let's weigh in.
Last time we spoke about the Pro controller, there was a little bit of controversy. So, Zach, let's start with you, because you love this thing. You absolutely love it.
I do. I think it's a fantastic controller. To me, it's an improvement on the Wii U Pro controller, which was already good, but this feels like the final product that they were working towards. I love how it feels in my hands, and perhaps it has something to do with me having slightly smaller hands, but I think it fits very well. I like the buttons. I like the look. And the gyro really impressed me as well. Playing Splatoon 2 with it at multiple events was super fun and super fluid. I felt like it just naturally merged with my palms for a perfect experience. Now, some people, take umbrage with the controller. It obviously is a little bit different. There's some different, I don't know what you'd call it technically, but like the edge work it's flat on the top instead of curved. There's some slight design differences in comparison to, controllers people are more accustomed to, but I nonetheless think this is fantastic. Now, $70 is a bit of a steep price, but remember, it is coming with that full-on gyro, and I think that's where they're, adding the price. It also has quite a battery life. 40 hours it's a chunk. The Joy-Con themselves have a 20-hour battery life, which I already thought was a long life, but 40 hours is crazy. So it gives you the USB charging cable, it gives you the ability to play for 40 hours uninterrupted, and it has gyro. You don't absolutely need it, but I think you might as well get it to enhance your Zelda Breath of the Wild experience, because you're going to want it for games down the road. Plus, this provides you with another controller for someone to play locally, right? So you don't have to just split Joy-Con. You can merge Joy-Con and Pro controller, and this just allows another person to play alongside you and gives you a different controller form factor when you're playing solo.
All right, so now we'll go to what I think, I guess, which I'm more like in the middle of the road. Like, if you want a more traditional controller, sure. It's the price steep, like you mentioned, but like you also mentioned, you're getting a lot for a great battery life along with the gyro. I get it. I personally don't love the thing. I don't hate it by any means. I also played Splatoon with it. I was standing right next to you when I did it. I'm also not as big a fan as gyro as you are. So like maybe that's why like I wasn't like super like enamored with like, oh, the gyro on this thing is great. Like I don't, if I'm playing Splatoon at my house, I'm turning that off.
Okay.
And I understand that gyro
you will not be a splat god without that gyro.
Yeah, no, and I understand that. I'm also fully aware that gyro is the way to go with Splatoon.
Yeah.
The controller, it doesn't feel great in my hands, and I don't know. Maybe it's my hand size. My hands are bigger than yours, but then the Joy-Cons feel great in my hand, and those are tiny. So right. I don't know how much that has to do with it. Maybe it is the flat design on the top, because I think I'm the one that pointed it out to you. I said, look, I don't like the way like my fingers like don't like curve around it the way that they do on other similarly shaped controllers, and maybe that's where I'm like doing a disservice by even comparing it to other controllers. But
I do think it makes sense to compare. I mean, one thing that I'll compare sort of in favor of the Pro controller, the DualShock 4 is looking at a sub 10-hour battery life. This is giving you 40 hours, which that is a much stronger and better lithium-ion battery in there. And so, you're talking about $10 more for this controller in comparison to the competition. But like I said,
that's
quadruple the battery life.
That's not true. You can find Pro controllers for like $40 right now, like DualShock 4s.
Yeah, but the normal new like retail price is suggested to be $59.99. I'm sure once the Switch is out for 4 years.
But be upfront about the fact that that's not what they're actually retailing for these days.
Sure, but again, the console's been out for ages.
Oh, sure, yeah, I guess. And the price isn't even my biggest hang up with the Pro Controller. Like, if you want something more traditional, $70, it's a one-time charge, and like I get it, it's steep, but I think we could take that. But I just wish it felt better, and to me, it doesn't. To you, it does, which is like great. I think the fact that different opinions about this thing exist is a good thing to me. That's not a negative at all.
Jake, what's your take?
I'm more on the negative than even Gabe, but I guess, quickly, I think it's interesting that you think it's an upgrade from the Wii U Pro Controller, because I love the Wii U Pro Controller. I love the weight that it has in your hand and just the setup and feel of it. And I think this is a downgrade. To me, it feels cheaper, like a third-party company made it out of recycled plastic. And I get the gyro is nice, but looking at it from a perspective, if you wanted to get this to have a second full controller, this is the cheaper option than paying $80 for the Joy-Con plus $30 for a grip. So it's $110 for another complete controller for somebody else to play with. So even though it is a steep $70, it's kind of the cheaper option here if you wanted to get another full controller for somebody to play with and not just split Joy-Con or have floating Joy-Con. But yeah, I just wish it felt a little better. I wish it had a little bit more weight, and I wish it was more of a traditional feel. Maybe it's just the angles, the flatness, or I don't know what it is exactly. I didn't take the time to, run my hands over the entire thing and, intricately detail it out in my head. But
why didn't you caress the Pro Controller, Jake?
I think that I don't know, because I don't know. I just didn't like it. But I think that the grip, the Joy-Con grip, feels way better to me in my hands, even though it feels smaller. If you look at them kind of stacked up, they're pretty similar in like form, in terms of like the handles and whatnot. But I just think the grip feels better. It has a little bit more weight to it. It's not. It's even more farther away from like a traditional controller feel. But again, I don't know. There's just something very inherent about when I picked it up. It just felt natural and good in my hands. So that's my preferred way to play it. But again, there's going to be people who like the Pro Controller more, and that's totally fine. And again, like I said, it's the cheaper option, which kind of seems crazy, but it is if you wanted to get another complete controller for somebody to play with, instead of getting a whole Joy-Con set and grip.
I wanted to say a couple more positive things about the Pro Controller, because like I said, I don't hate it. The sticks are vastly superior to the Joy-Con. The actual like sticks themselves. The buttons are bigger. The triggers themselves, I feel, are better just because of the size and the travel distance. Same with the bumpers. Like the buttons aren't the problem for me. The problem for me is like the actual shape of it. It doesn't fit well in my hand, and that's the only thing. I wonder
if you two have just oddly shaped hands, because the both of you would be two of the only dissenters on the Pro Controller.
That's not true. There's a lot of. Well, we were on a Reddit thread where people mentioned us and not liking the Pro Controller, and there was people on our side saying, "Hey, I play with the Pro Controller and it's not for me either." Like, there are a number of people that don't like it, and again, I don't not like it. I just it's not my preferred way of playing.
Yeah, that's fair. And just to be super clear, you can get DualShock 4s for like $45 right now, but some of the colorways are $64.99 is the suggested retail price. And similarly, with the Xbox One controller, typically they're falling in the $60 range with colorways, increasing. So price to me becomes a non-factor in terms of just where controllers are at for this generation. And again, I think if you want to play, if you foresee yourself playing Switch in the docked mode frequently, I think this is ideal. It comes with the grip, it comes with the Joy-Con. There's a reason why the Pro Controller is an extra amount of money, because it is the most gamer-like, the most hardcore way to play, and it provides you with the most tried-and-true experience. And again, necessary, that's maybe too strong of a word. And it also has the exact features of the Joy-Con. So it does the HD rumble. It has that Amiibo NFC reader technology. This is sort of like the ultimate Switch controller if you're going to be playing. Frankly, even if you're not going to be playing docked, you want to do this thing in tablet mode, anything but handheld provides you an opportunity to use the Pro Controller, and it more smoothly fits in with what Nintendo and what other companies have done in the past. So I love the Joy-Con. I think the grip is cool, but to me, I would probably rather play on the Pro Controller.
I honestly think you have to just go and get your hands on it and decide for yourself, because I think it's just, I don't think one's like that much better than the other. I think it's just what feels the best in your hands and what you're going to get comfortable playing with, and then make your decision based on that.
All right, so let's ask a couple of questions here. Jake, do you want one of these?
I'd rather have a grip. And
okay, so you don't want one.
I want not in particular.
I do want one. Zach wants one, right? Zach, yeah. I'm assuming.
Oh, absolutely. Mine is pre-ordered and ready for pickup at midnight.
Okay, cool. All right, so then the other thing becomes: do you think that this is worth it?
I absolutely do. Again, like I said, if you are short on budget, I would recommend games over controller. I think that this will become more valuable as the year progresses and more titles release, because look, initially a lot of the beginning games are meant to suit the Joy-Con, to their best, right? Snipper clips, even stuff like arms, are targeted at using the Joy-Con. They can be used with other things, of course, but they're targeted at highlighting the Joy-Con. I think as the console progresses, as we see more third-party releases, as Nintendo expands their library, you're going to find more titles that are controller agnostic, if you will, and therefore the Pro Controller, becomes quote-unquote more valuable. But again, if you're going to get one eventually, I think then it's totally worth it getting it at the beginning, budget allowing, and I would love to be able to play Zelda with this at least part of the time. Handheld, great, I'm going to do that. But when I'm at home, I would love to use the Pro Controller.
I will say that there's been things in the past that I've been skeptical about with like Nintendo or other companies, and after like a while it grows. I mean, like why they decided to choose this form factor or whatever function or feature. So I'm not completely counting it out. I'm just saying my initial reactions are I don't like it. So maybe later on, if I keep touching it and playing with it, then like it'll grow on me. So I'm not 100% discounting it. I'm just saying I prefer the grip more. And maybe later on I'll start getting really annoyed with my fingers touching on the back of the grip and need to switch to the Pro Controller.
Yeah, I do think there is like a fascination and a fun to the Joy-Con, right? That's the most new. You're looking at a new console. There's an opportunity for new games. There's an opportunity for the fun of unboxing it and testing out their new tech. The Joy-Con are sort of where that really takes the most shape, because it's new. It's a new idea. Split them apart, put them together. Split them apart, put them together. That's fantastic. So I can see the allure of them. And look, I'll use the Joy-Con straight out of the box. I'm not going to open up the Switch and open the Pro Controller and immediately go to that. I'll be using handheld and Joy-Con and taking advantage of what the Switch does differently. But I think, like I said, as time progresses, I know for Splatoon 2, I will want to play with the Pro Controller, 100%. I felt way more comfortable and way more confident playing that way. And I think that, look, the charging grip, gives you like the battery life. And if people are having any sort of qualms about the 20 hours of Joy-Con, this thing doubles that up. So right there, that's an inherent great value.
Yeah, and me saying that I don't love it as much as you do doesn't mean I don't want one. I really, really want one. They're hard to find, which is the other thing. They're sold out everywhere. So, good luck getting your hands on one if you don't have one pre-ordered. So people are positive on it. Everybody seems to like it. Me and Jake are definitely in the minority when we're a little bit more like tepid about it. But
I guess another thing for me is like, as I'm thinking about like, if you're gonna inevitably be playing it handheld mode, and you have to play with the Joy-Con in that way, not tabletop but just handheld, you're gonna have a Joy-Con on each side attached to the screen. Then like when you switch back to like when you dock it, like for me, I just kind of want to keep the same form factor. I'm like, okay, I'm playing with the Joy-Con when it's handheld, and then I set up dock, and then I want to keep playing with the Joy-Con in a grip form. So like it's consistent. I don't know. I feel like that would just, in my mind, makes more sense than switching back to the Pro Controller when you dock it.
I do think it's worth it, though, by the way. For the $70, like, it's not a terrible controller by any mean. My only thing is I prefer the other one, the actual grip for the Joy-Cons, and I know that's weird, but...
Let me ask you guys this. If you were looking to purchase a controller for a friend or a sibling, or just for any occasion when you wanted to do local multiplayer, would you get another set of Joy-Con or a Pro?
If they were the same price,
I would get... No, they're not. It's a $10 difference.
Well, no. Well, then you would have Floating Joy-Con. So would you mean a Joy-Con plus the grip?
No, I mean Joy-Con, because that provides you the opportunity to have a third and potentially fourth controller.
Yeah, but you can't put them together though with anything.
No, but you can.
Okay, so it depends on the person I'm buying it for. Like if I'm buying it for my cousin and my cousin
yourself.
has it. Oh, for me? For me, I don't want another set of Joy-Cons. I'm good. I'm good with the one set of Joy-Cons. I'd rather have the Pro Controller. But I also know that I don't have like a ton of people coming over like all the time. Like I know.
Yeah,
so.
I think it just falls back into like the whole idea of the Switch is like play the way you want to play, and like it's super versatile. There's tons of ways to play it. There's tons of ways to set it up. There's tons of ways to buy accessories for it and play it, and like however you feel comfortable playing it. I think it's just something you have to like make a decision for yourself.
Exactly, and
I think that floating Joy-Con is not a good way to play. So I mean, because then it's like reminiscent of like Wiimote nunchuck almost, and I don't really like that. So yeah, I mean, if you're gonna force me to not be able to get a second grip, I don't really want to hand someone floating Joy-Con. I'd much rather give them a Pro Controller because it's more. I mean, it's more like typical. So like if you have someone who hasn't experienced a Switch and like here play, and like you gave them like two tiny floating things in their hands, like what am I doing? Am I like playing like like those old virtual reality games where like you swing the bat over the plate and like or like it's more of a standard feel.
For sure, and when you want that with the grip, I'm shocked that the two of you don't want it as much with the Pro, and the Joy-Con grip is an awkward shape as well. Like that is a much taller.
Feels good in your hand though.
It does.
Yeah,
it absolutely does.
I don't know if it's because it's thicker and like there's the depth of the roundness of the back that you can like get your hands around. Because yeah, I mean it's definitely square as heck on the front, but like the handles on it just feel better to me.
Because I'm gonna put some of these images up. Like the back of the Pro Controller is my issue, and the top that's flat. Like there's nothing for you to actually grip on the bottom. Like yes, there is like a grip, but it's not as deep as it is like with the Xbox One controller.
I do like also that the buttons and the sticks are larger on the Pro Controller than they are on the combined Joy-Cons.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that is a plus. I enjoy the largeness of the sticks and the buttons on the Pro. Plus, like I think the translucency is kind of a cool touch, and I like that Nintendo has done something unique with it. For me, I think the allure of two more Joy-Con and being able to potentially provide a fourth player the experience is really a tough call. I don't mind having the Joy-Con split. That doesn't bother me. So if I was only able to get one, right? If I was like, hey, I can get the Joy-Con set or I can get the Pro Controller, it would be a tough call because it's like for me personally, I would rather have the Pro Controller. But if I was expecting to play Switch a lot with friends, with family, Mario Kart nights and eventually Smash Brothers nights, maybe even ARMS nights, Bomberman R, having that fourth sort of for the price of 3 is kind of tempting. And knowing that it can be sort of both. But again, I think the solo experience of the Pro Controller takes over the top. Plus, think of it this way. If you get an extra set of Joy-Con, if you're already worried about charging them, at any moment you have to have one set on, which I guess is doable. But to me, the Pro Controller, one with 40 hours and two with the built-in USB charging and no need for there's no like charging Pro Controller for $90 or something like that.
Yeah.
And they do make clear that it's supposed to enhance the experience in TV or tabletop. So I like the idea that you can sit back with that thing and kick up your kickstand and go to work on Zelda.
So yes, we do think the Pro Controller is worth it. We don't all love it equally. Some of us don't love it at all, but one of us really loves it. One of us is kind of indifferent about it. The other one of us doesn't like it, but we all do think it's worth it, especially if you are a solo gamer and you're worried about the Joy-Cons, then this is probably for you.
Absolutely. I don't think you can go wrong picking one up, even if you won't be fully utilizing it till later in the lineup. But I have sung its praises from the start, and I will continue to do so. Cannot wait to get my hands on one. I think even though we have 3 different opinions, we've got 3 yeses on the value of this thing. So then it just comes up to you. Like Jake mentioned, the great part of the Switch is its versatility, is its dynamic nature, and its ability to really fit your specific playstyle and your specific lifestyle. So figure out what's best for you, how many people will be playing, where you'll be playing it, what mode most frequently you'll utilize. Because again, like if you're going to be doing this in handheld, the Pro Controller maybe isn't right for you. But it definitely lives up to its value. It is packed with features, and to me, it feels like one of Nintendo's best. So that will do it on our discussion of their controller, D Pro. For myself, Jake, and Gabe, we're going to do a quick outro today. Switch Force out.